What's up, guys? My name is Mr. Mahmood, and welcome to a fantastic year of biology. We're really excited to get things moving with you. This class is going to be run a little bit differently than some of your other classes, so what better way to explain this than to do a syllabus a little bit differently as well. So we're actually going to do what's called a flipped syllabus because, as you'll see soon, we run a flipped classroom. I just want to walk through this video really quickly just to touch base on the expectations we have of you, how this all works together, and why we do it the way we do, so that hopefully you guys are all ready to jump right in as we get this ball rolling, right? So the first thing I want to talk a little bit about is what we value here in this classroom. If you walk into my classroom, you'll see this poster up on the wall, and that poster is something that it's become my mantra. If you ever see an email coming from me at the bottom under my signature, you'll usually see me say, "We live in 3," because that's really become a mantra. This is a typical pain scale. If you guys have ever been to the hospital, you know anybody who's in the medical field and you've seen this poster before, but you'll notice that the pictures are kind of shuffled around. So on a scale of 1 to 5, the smiley face you'll notice is right there in the middle as a 3, right? The reason it's set up like this is because I view this as an effort chart. I call this our effort chart. If you're at a 1, that means the stuff we're giving you is way too easy. You're blowing through it, no problems at all. It's a waste of your time. Why are you even bothering to do this? It's like busy work, basically. There's no benefit to it. If you're at a 5, it's like I'm giving you something that you have absolutely no idea about, and you feel completely overwhelmed, and there's no way that you can successfully complete whatever it is I'm asking of you, right? So my goal is to always keep you at 3, right? So that's why I say we live in 3. My goal is to keep you a little bit uncomfortable, right? To stretch you just a little bit beyond your normal comfort zone, beyond your normal comfort level, and into where you might actually get challenged, because that's really where we learn, right? It's not really about repetition of the stuff you already know. It's the opportunities to really stretch yourself a little bit, where you might feel a little bit uncomfortable, but it's that area that you can really thrive in, right? So my promise to you guys as a teacher is that I will work as hard as I can, and everyone else within our team will work as hard as we can to keep you from being at a 1 or a 5, right? If we notice that you're at a 1, that's on us, right? We need to challenge you more. If we notice you're on a 5, that's also on us because we haven't prepared you well enough, right? So we always want to keep you just a little bit uncomfortable in the classroom, push that to that level, right? But what we need from you is to put the effort in that will keep you in that 3 zone, right? The one thing I need a promise from you for is to promise not to go straight from a 1 to a 5, right? That's really easy to do, right? It's really easy to say, okay, these things are easy, so I'll do it. And now once something looks a little too hard, I just give up. I'm not going to do it at all, right? So please don't go straight from 1 to 5. If you're willing to commit yourself to put yourself in that uncomfortable level a little bit and challenge yourself, we'll be there to help you out along the way, right? So we value effort. Put that effort in, and I promise you, we will do everything we can. You're going to be successful in this class. You'll notice a lot of little signs all around the building and throughout my classroom as well to encourage that kind of effort. I have this iceberg chart right outside my door. This chart about the 10 things that will start to happen to you once you get out of your comfort zone is actually in the hallway as you walk in. There's a mindset chart that we're actually going to reference in the next lecture here. All these things are encourage you to just do the best you can, show up every day, ready to try, right? So my class itself is known as a flipped classroom. So here's what that means. A normal classroom, a traditional classroom, will usually lecture for a while, right? Like 15, 20 minutes, something like that. We'll lecture over a topic. Then we'll give you an assignment to work on. And then whatever you don't finish becomes homework, right? And then we just kind of rinse and repeat every day. So I actually flip that. So instead of lecturing to you guys in class, I assign you the lectures to do at home. That becomes your homework. So the class time becomes truly an opportunity for you guys to just work within collaborative groups, to work in small pairs, to work individually if you feel more comfortable doing that, but to really dive into the content. And that way I'm here, your classmates are here, so while you're working on the activities, you have a lot of people to bounce ideas off of, right? So your homework will never be activities. I'll never assign you a homework assignment like worksheets or anything like that. The only things I'll ever ask you to do at home are watch my lectures, and they're only going to be periodic, right? So I usually have about 2 lectures due a week. Each lecture runs about 30 minutes, somewhere a little above, somewhere a little below. So you basically are going to learn how to kind of balance out your schedule and pace yourself. So some of my kids love watching like 10, 15 minutes a day, and they just knock it out that way, and they're just focused and understanding and making sure they can connect everything. Others prefer to wait and say, okay, I know that I'm going to be really busy on this night. So if I can make sure to avoid that night, I'll watch Mr. Mahmoud's lecture on this night so that I can take care of the other things on other times. It's a chance for you to kind of build that organization level and a little bit of responsibility and time management that as you're getting older, I promise you is going to come in very, very handy. So these lectures, again, are for you to get the content. I'm not going to lecture this stuff in class. It's on you to take care of this stuff at home. When you come to school, you're going to be doing the activities that will show me how well you understand what it is you watched from those lectures. So it is really important that you're paying attention, really important that you're focused. I highly encourage you taking notes so that you're able to organize your information that way. But again, these videos are there and they're always available for you. If you ever need to go back and review something, if you didn't quite understand something, you need to go back, start there. Of course, I'm there to help you when you come into class, but I'm always going to ask you if you've watched the lecture connected with this content yet. And if you say no, then I'm going to ask you to watch that lecture in the classroom, right? So you can utilize class time to watch a lecture if you have to, but I promise you, the benefit of the class is going to come from actually doing the activities we're doing. So this is what's considered a flipped classroom. You watch the videos at home so that when you come to class, you're ready, you know the content, and we can dive right in together and have some fun, right? So to help guide you in that process, I run a very flexible, a very self-paced classroom. So I really encourage my kids, I tell them all the time, I want you to think of my classroom as a Starbucks, right? There's almost always going to be music playing, right? You come in, you sit where you'd like. Most likely you're going to end up finding yourself sitting next to people who are working on the same things as you because the pace of this calendar depends entirely on you. So if you'll notice, you'll see this calendar going from the beginning of the unit to the end, and there are due dates for each one, right? There's what I call a pace for each one. That's not necessarily means that if it's not done on that day, it's late, right? You work at your own pace. So if you're working at kind of the average pace, you're most likely going to be completing each of these things on the dates that the pace calendar says you're finishing. If you finish early, if you're moving ahead, that's absolutely fine. If you're falling behind, that's totally fine too. The beauty of this is within any given class period, my job is to go around and check in with each of you at least one time. That's my goal, is to check in with each of you for maybe 30 seconds to a minute every single day. And that way I get a chance to see where you are, where you're needing help, and if you're ready to show mastery. So when you finish with a particular assignment, it's not enough just to have the assignment done, right? You need to prove to me that you understand the information. So that's what that mastery chart, the mastery column and the TI, that's teacher initial, that's what that's for. As you finish something, you're going to call me over, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you to explain some things. I'm going to ask you to give me more detail about something. And if you can do it, you'll show me that you've mastered it, and I'll sign it off. If you can't do it, then I'm going to ask you to go back and keep working a little bit harder. So that's where the lectures are so important. They give you the content, the activities give you a chance to apply it, and then when you're ready, you've got to prove to me that you know what you're doing, right? Copying homework's not going to work anymore, right? You can't just skip lectures and say that you've watched them. You really have to prove to me that you know what you're doing. There's going to be some accountability here, but again, that's where I need you to be willing to put in that effort a little bit and just work yourself through. So one way that I'm going to know if you're paying attention to the lectures and you're actually watching them is when I talk to you in class, absolutely. But there's another check that I ask you to do every time you actually watch the lecture. There's always going to be a 5-question lecture quiz that goes with that particular lecture. So I'm going to show you how this actually looks here on the classroom. So here I am at Google Classroom, and this is just my first period as sort of as an example. When we're in the flow of things, we're all going to be working in our Google Classrooms to keep up and keep track of a lot of the activities that we're doing together. So we're going to go over here to the classwork tab, and obviously I'm just putting a couple of things here for now. This will get full over the course of the year. But I just have one here as an example. So I have the mindset quiz. This is actually the one that you're going to first quiz that you're actually going to be assigned from a lecture that's going to be due on Monday over this weekend. To get to it, you just click on the activity. All right, and you see it gives you 2 links, right? Every time you have a lecture video, there's always 2 links. The first one is the lecture itself. It's a YouTube video. It'll pop up straight through Classroom. You should have no problems watching it. The second is a lecture quiz that goes with that particular lecture. So clicking on the mindset one, for example, this is going to be a 5-question lecture quiz. You always need to make sure you're giving me your info, right? So type in your first name and your last name, your class period, and then the questions are here, right? So as you're watching the lecture, some people like to have this lecture quiz up while they're watching the lecture so they know what to listen for. Other people prefer to wait to watch the lecture and then they take the quiz. Either way, This is a self-grading quiz, so it will give you a grade right away. So once you answered your 5 questions, you click submit. It'll tell you how many of the 5 you got correct. Your goal is definitely to get 5 out of 5, right? So if you take it the first time, you don't do particularly well, retake it. I have no problem with you taking it as many times as you need, because that really gives you the chance to try to internalize. You're reading the information carefully, and hopefully that helps you understand the information better, right? So take the quiz as many times as you want. That grade is the grade that's going to be functionally put into your task list for that lecture. So again, knowing that you're watching the lectures, I'll be able to prove it by 1, how well you do on these lecture quizzes, and 2, the conversations that we actually have in the classroom, right? It's one thing to just take the quiz over and over without watching the lecture, but then when you come into class and I ask you these questions, I don't think you're going to be able to answer them. So please, please give me that effort. That's the goal. Commit to watching the lectures. Spread it out if you want to. Block it out certain chunks of time throughout the week, whatever works for you. Pretty much you're always going to get a lecture, almost always like at the beginning of the week and towards the end of the week. So usually you have a lecture due on a Monday night and one due on a Thursday night, something like that. So you plan and prioritize your time to work around that and be able to fit your schedule. You'll see the PACE is set up the way you see on this task list. This is a paper that you get at the beginning of every unit. Keep it handy, keep it in your binder, keep it somewhere close, because I'm constantly going to be asking you to pull it out. There are a lot of things that I'll most likely be moving digitally for this year that maybe I haven't done in the past, but this one in particular, I really need just a sheet of paper. It's the same one that you use all the time. Please don't lose it. Please don't damage it. So because it's my responsibility to mark on it constantly, so I know where you are as you keep yourself moving. And by the end of the unit, you hopefully will all be at the same place. We're ready to take that test. If you are significantly falling behind, know that I'll be working with you. We'll probably consolidate a little bit. If there's 2 or 3 activities that cover the same big concept, I may ask you to just focus in on one, those kinds of things. So one way or the other, it's really the conceptual understanding that I care about, and we're going to get to the point where everybody's ready for that test. That's my promise to you, again, as long as you're ready to put in that effort. You'll notice that some of these are shaded in gray. Those are called common tasks. That means that regardless of where you are in the PACE, those are activities we're all going to do together as a class for a number of reasons, whether it's a lab or class discussion or a demo, something like that. But besides that, you guys are moving at your own pace, rolling your way through. Once you finish one, you move on to the other. If you're ready to watch a lecture even before it's due, you have class time to do it, pull out your Chromebook, put in headphones, and start watching that lecture, right? No problem with that at all. That's what this classroom is all about. It's going to be a little hectic, right? People doing different things all at the same time. But again, the goal is to help you be successful, working at your own pace, just like Starbucks, right? It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, so that's about it. There's going to be more to it, I promise, and we'll talk about tests and how the tests break down. And the unit tests, there's opportunities for recovery there. But with everything that I do, you always have an opportunity to fix it. Right, that's my big thing. It's all about effort, and it's all about effort in a safe environment. You're going to watch a mindset video here in a couple of days. I'm all about that growth mindset. I'm all about encouraging an environment where you feel comfortable in taking risks, right? So when it comes to daily activities, even if you don't get it right the first time, no problem. You'll have the opportunity to recover, and you'll still be able to get full credit. Even on unit tests, if you don't do so well the first time, we're going to walk through the process of how you get the opportunity to get that grade up, and show us, as long as you really built a mastery of the content, we'll be able to recover some of those points for you. So again, all that'll come later. We just wanted to have a quick video and introduce ourselves and show you how unique this class is going to be throughout the year, and I really look forward to working with you. This is my contact information. Email is definitely the most efficient method. I will always be able to get back to you within 24 hours of any email you send. So please, I encourage you to shoot out an email if there's anything you need from me. Thank you guys very much, and I will see you throughout the year. Take care.